Everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
And welcome back to Geekvolution After Dark. For the next hour or so, thereabouts, Eric and I are going to talk about whatever random topics we have come up with to discuss this evening. Eric, it's After Dark.
It's After Dark.
Yay! It's so exciting.
It is exciting.
We're gonna talk about things we wouldn't usually talk about on the channel, just for you guys. And Eric, how you doing, man?
And today more than ever, because I don't know if you remember what's happening tonight, but you will later.
Was there something happening tonight
there is
that I'm
something
supposed to remember?
Tonight. Well, you don't have to remember.
Was there something you told me?
I did.
Did you prep me for something?
I have prepped the entire channel for something.
Oh yeah. Okay, now I know what you're talking about. Oh boy, I just can't wait for that. Forgot to bring my earmuffs or my noise-canceling headphones. Yeah, I don't have anything crazy like that, but then I guess generally speaking, I wouldn't like the craziest thing I might come up with will probably be mild in comparison to your craziest thing. After Dark was made for Eric. That's why he came up with it. Anyway, so this is the first of these that we're shooting after we have begun the insane odyssey into shooting all of our off-the-cuff content at once on the Mega Show, on the Geekvolution Omnibus. So I guess there's going to be more of talking about random quick things in that show that we didn't used to get to, but we're going to do our very best to continue to bring strange things to this show that would not otherwise necessarily be brought up. So we're doing the Mega Show twice a month.
Yep.
We're going to try to shoot that weekly for folks that are wanting, and I should make an announcement about this on the channel, because I mentioned that I was maybe doing this on Facebook, but I haven't actually talked about it yet. By the time this comes up, maybe I will have, I don't know. But anyway, although this will be the first of these that comes up shortly after we shot it, because I want to make sure that these go on the off weeks from the Mega Show. So actually, I'm going to go ahead and put this one up pretty quick, I think.
It'll be next, or will it be this week?
It might be this week, yeah. I need to go back and check when I last posted, but yeah, I think this one's just going to go up. It's kind of what I'm thinking. Cool. So these might start being more timely, which is maybe exciting. But yeah,
the idea is on Sundays we shoot the Mega Show, and then on the off Sundays we'll have a regular day that we shoot this, because we don't have a regular day, we just kind of shoot this whenever we feel like shooting it.
We had initially planned on doing the Mega Show weekly, and the export times and posting times makes that nigh impossible. Posting the Mega Show took more than a day to upload. And then just all the editing and stuff, it takes enough out of my week where I'm like, well, this is like a new full-time job. Like, I don't know how I'm going to get to any writing or anything doing this. So we're going to do it twice a month. It's like 12 shows. It's so much content.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit afraid of some things going up a little bit later than I would love them to.
We're worried that some of the shows might end up being like 3 minutes, but then we forgot that we don't know how to make shows.
We are incapable of that.
I'm sure the Snackvolution wasn't
is going to be longer than that.
I'm sure the Snackvolution wasn't even under 5. I knew it wasn't under 5. I knew it.
Anyway, speaking of Snackvolution, tonight Eric and I are recommending drinking Mountain Dew out of glasses that say Mountain Dew on them, or a Stark tumbler with cherry vodka in it. We got the Smirnoff cherry vodka with our Mountain Dew this evening. Mixes super well. If that's was that now?
I said I'm out now.
And
I have a tiny glass.
Doesn't that taste super tasty?
It tastes like a gummy.
Yeah, I can see that. It's a little throat scratchy, but it's not too bad.
Yeah. No, I liked it.
We are now putting 1 hour on the clock, and Eric, why don't you actually, you know what, we already started the timer, so we'll just go from there. Eric, what is your first topic for this evening? Tell me it's not the horrifying book thing.
No.
Like you're going to ease us into that, yeah?
I'll ease into that.
All right, okay. Give us your first topic, sir.
So, here's what's interesting about this. This seems like a really topical topic. This has been on my list since, I think, the show we did with Dan.
Wow, that was 3 ago? 3 or 4 ago?
So
yeah.
I keep pushing this off.
Can you guys believe this is the 9th show? Twice a month, 9th show. That means we've been doing this for 18 weeks. That's insane.
But so this, I came up with this 4A topic before we shot with Dan.
Okay.
It's just now I'm actually finally getting to it, so it seems real topical, but I've been meaning to talk about this for a while
Forever,
now.
yeah.
I want to talk about how I'm uncomfortable dressing up.
Pardon me.
I don't like wearing costumes. I feel silly. I feel like I've always put in too little or too much or simultaneous amounts of effort. I went to a Halloween party recently with a girl I've been seeing, and I was surrounded by people in costumes, and I still felt silly for wearing a costume. I don't know what that is.
But that doesn't happen the whole show.
But I've got a real social anxiety thing about wearing costumes.
Interesting.
Before I go somewhere, if I'm going to wear a costume, I'm real anxious about people
So when you say dressing up, you don't mean looking nice.
No, I love looking nice. You can't tell from my wardrobe, but I do like looking nice.
But the cosplay thing is not for you.
It's not. I feel uncomfortable, and even surrounded by other people in costumes, I feel silly.
Because here's the thing, we've talked about how you are almost an introvert and an extrovert simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
So is it because you like to blend into a crowd and you don't like standing out? Is that what it is, or is it like what is it? We can psychoanalyze you for just a second.
I don't know. I mean, and there's also my this is not a good thing. It's certainly a character flaw, but there's also my need to not do obvious things. So, it's also I want to do something that's not obvious, but then I know that I'm going to spend an entire night explaining to people what I am.
Yeah.
And so that's a thing. But I don't know. I just, maybe it is that I like to blend in a crowd, but in a crowd of people in costumes, theoretically, you would still blend in. I'm not
sure, but not necessarily because of the fact that people are going to ask you what you are. Everybody stands out. When everybody stands out, no one does. But it's kind of that scenario, isn't it? Where you are inevitably. It's not the same thing as Where's Waldo. It's not the same thing as if everybody is wearing the red shirt with one stripe through it. Nobody's gonna, or with stripes on it. Nobody's gonna walk up to each person and be like, "Oh, I like your shirt." But if you're all wearing different costumes, part of the point is we're all conversation pieces.
Mm-hmm.
You're still going to be a conversation piece even if there's 50 more people there with a costume.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I don't know. I've had this for a long time. I certainly didn't have it as a kid, but trick or treating is different than parties.
Yeah.
So I don't know when this developed, but I really don't like dressing up in costumes. It makes me feel uncomfortable. It makes me feel, I don't know, there's something that just feels weird to me.
Do you feel like you're supposed to perform in some way?
I don't know. It's just some kind of weird social anxiety where I'm just I feel judged, always.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I feel like
it's
I'm
almost stop looking at me. Oh wait, I'm wearing a thing that's meant for you to look at me now.
But I feel like everyone's going to judge my costume, no matter how good or bad it is. So I don't know. It's just I have this really weird. I don't like dressing up in costumes.
There's this fascinating phenomenon in cosplay where I feel like at one time when it was more of an elitist thing, it's almost like the whole geek culture took over. I mean, it's obviously part of that, but in the same way as geek culture took over, you're now not going to get beat up for watching Star Trek, etc., etc. We have this thing with cosplay now where there was a time, I want to say maybe even 10, 15 years ago, maybe 15, 20 years ago, where you had this elite group of people who were making their own costumes, and they would be snooty and look down on everybody else's costumes for not being up to snuff with theirs, and especially if you're store-bought. That was the cardinal sin. You can't do that. It's weird that as cosplay has gotten more popular and everybody does it, the costumes have gotten better. The quality is with a bunch of costumes now is obviously like movie or TV worthy, and yet I don't go to conventions or even parties where people judge you for wearing a store-bought costume anymore. It's really interesting.
Well, and that's also a thing, is my instinct, and this is beaten into me from childhood, is making your own costume is always better.
Yeah.
There's something cheap and lame about store-bought costumes.
I feel that way too, yeah. Except I don't like to make them. So if I can't get somebody else to make them for me, I'm just sort of I don't mind hobbling together things when I know that'll work. Like when you did a shadow costume, and I helped you put some of the things together for that. And like as long as I know I don't have to make anything, I don't mind putting together something.
And that's
like
a really
that.
easy costume that I think turned out pretty well for what it is.
It's simple, yeah. You could have gotten away with wearing that at a convention. Like that's it's fine.
But like when I found out I was going to this party and I had to get a costume, like never in my mind did it occur to me, oh, I could just go and buy a costume.
Yeah, you would.
It had to be made. Like I didn't even think of the possibility, and then
it's also cheaper that way.
Yeah.
You spend a lot less on it than if you had gone and bought something in plastic.
And then the next day, I went to work, and CJ was there wearing a costume from My Hero Academia, and I was like, which I was really impressed by, and then I found he bought it, and I was less impressed. But I was like, oh, I could have just bought that. I could have just bought a whole costume. It would have been cool. It would have been topical. There wouldn't have been anything on my face. That's a thing too. I don't like things on my face. That heightens it for some reason. If there's something on my face, I feel even more silly.
Which is interesting because that should make you feel more hidden.
It doesn't.
But it doesn't.
It makes you feel much more aware.
That's interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know we're kind of having two different conversations right now, but I just the store-bought thing kind of fascinates me because that used to be the thing that would most make me feel really self-conscious wearing a costume. If I wear something really cool somebody else wore or somebody else made, now I'm a model and I don't mind it because I do sometimes, or maybe more often than not, like being the center of attention. Everyone's so surprised that I'm saying that. So, like, when Pierce made me that Spawn suit, and I wore that to a convention, I liked the attention because it was a great costume. But if it had been something store-bought, it would have been more obligatory. The weird thing, though, is that I have wanted to do costumes that I couldn't possibly make or have someone else make that looks as good as the store-bought, and you might as well just get the store-bought. A lot of store-bought costumes have gotten so good, there's no reason to make one now. And it's like that with the 60s Batman suit that we're using for Batmania, and that I've worn on a couple of, or Batmania, Batcap, that I've also worn on a couple of videos before. I was going to have that made. No reason to. It looks fine. Like nobody. Most people aren't going to look at that and be like, "Oh, you store bought that." Like that's what that suit looks like. I had to buy a separate mask because the mask it comes with is kind of lame.
Yeah, I don't.
But I guess I just did. I don't have this with costumes. Like
no, clearly not.
I don't mind. I don't mind doing that. It used to be more of a novelty for me though. Like I can take it or leave it at this point as far as like conventions and stuff. I used to feel kind of self-conscious about not wearing a costume to a convention where I'm like, oh, I should cosplay. I don't really have that anymore.
Well, and it doesn't like being in a group doesn't help. Like if I was with a bunch of my friends and we were all in costumes on Halloween night and we went to Walmart, I would feel really self-conscious. I would be like people looking at me and judging me.
But there's a difference between going to a party where, even on Halloween, even when that's the night where people are wearing costumes, no, I feel weird going into certain public places wearing a costume, regardless of what day it is. That's not weird.
Okay, well that feeling's the feeling I have whenever I wear a costume.
Regardless of where you are.
Regardless of where I am.
That's interesting.
So yeah, we're just gonna talk about my insecurities tonight.
Sure, yeah.
That's fine. I'll get to tear into your insecurities.
I'll try to bring up an insecurity. Okay, well I can start with an insecurity of mine.
Sure.
This isn't even so much of an insecurity. Should I start with my really depressing one, or should I save that?
Your really depressing one?
Yeah. What do you think?
I don't know what your really depressing one is.
Well, I'm not even telling you what it is.
Topic
I'm
or
just saying. My really depressing topic. Or should I save it?
Save it.
Okay, I'll save it.
I'm saving Wicked City. You save your really depressing one.
All right, I'll save it. Let me ask you a question then.
Okay.
This is a quick, innocuous one. This will sound like one that I should have saved for the end for when we have like 5 minutes left. Eric, I'm not sure if you and I have had this conversation before, but certainly not on camera. If you were a gambler, and I don't know if you've ever really gone to casinos much.
I've not.
We'll have to do that at some point.
I've been on cruise ships where there were casinos. So I've been around the casino environment a little bit. My stepfather gambles a little bit. He likes to play blackjack. But I've never gone myself.
If you did, not even necessarily frequenting, just when you go to one, what do you think your game of choice would be?
Probably blackjack. Actually,
probably blackjack.
I like blackjack. I play baccarat if that was there. Because I actually know how to play that game.
Wow.
But it's just like blackjack, but slightly more complicated.
Yeah, I've never seen a table for it at a casino. I don't think
it's blackjack, except you can't go over 9. And if you go over 9, it circles back around. So 11 is 1, and you're trying to hit 9. That's Baccarat. That is how Baccarat is played. But no, probably blackjack. I think that would be my game of choice.
Cool.
Because I can play that. It's simple rules. I would never play poker at the casino.
I was going to ask you, have you played poker much?
Not a lot.
Because I keep thinking about inviting people over.
You have, and I'd like to, because I'm bad at poker.
I've been talking about it forever.
Mostly because every time I play, I feel like I'm playing with a different set of rules, and there are a couple of different variations on poker.
Well, there's a million games of poker. Yeah.
So, like, I feel like every time I played poker, it was a slightly different game.
We can play 5 card. There's a draw. There's a million things we can play.
That was a thing. Was all the times I ever played was like the 5 card one.
Yeah.
And then my friend, who kind of played professional poker online for a period of time.
Oh, cool.
And made quite a bit of money doing it.
Did he really?
He was not old enough. He actually, his dad actually, you let him use his account. But he made quite a bit of money doing that. We were talking about poker because I was confusing Casino Royale because they only have 2 cards. I'm like, what is this? This isn't poker. He's like, no, that's how poker's played.
There's a lot of variations, yeah.
And I don't know all of what trumps what. Like, I don't know if a flush beats 3 of a kind, like that kind of. So like I've never played enough poker to really get down the rules. I would play with friends, but never at a casino or something like that.
Yeah, we could play and do some practice stuff. And I mean, I'm a little rusty. It's been a long time since I've done much. And then we can invite some people over. I've told you about poker for random objects. Yeah.
Yes. It sounds very fun.
That's a thing I'd like to do again at some point if I can get some people interested. So Poker for Random Objects was, I don't know if I've ever brought this up on the channel, but was a game I came up with way back in high school, and we did it at the house a few times. We used to have parties just for it, where people, and once we had so many people over, we had to break it up into like 2 or 3 games. Mm-hmm. And what you do is you still play with chips, but each hand you would have to also ante in some random thing that you brought with you, just things from home that you don't want anymore, that you'll part with, or just like you know tiny things. And people would bring the most bizarre random things, and it'd be anything from like straw wrappers all the way up to a friend of mine once brought he was hilarious. He had the best ideas. He brought a voucher for a working lawnmower. Somebody won that. Yeah, it was great. Anyway, and whoever wins the pot, of course, gets the chips, but also gets all the stuff, and then they can continue to use that stuff or their own stuff. And it was lots of fun.
No,
I still have a few things that I got from that.
Is your interest in poker? Is your interest in poker, or was your interest in poker? It's a Star Trek thing?
Not necessarily. I don't know that there was ever even really so much of a connection there. Like, obviously, I thought of that, but it was more. It was more my mom's side of the family and her mom. We used to play poker for M&Ms and stuff growing up.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I played some blackjack with my grandpa. My grandpa taught me to play blackjack when I was young.
We did some of that too. Yeah, I think I probably played poker before I ever saw it in TNG. So.
All right, cool.
Yeah, my game at a casino, if I could afford to play more, would be roulette.
That's my mom's game.
I like roulette a lot, but usually the buy-in is just more than I feel like spending. Because I'll go in and I can play for like 4 or 5 rounds and then I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just almost not worth the trip. Like my dad goes and plays slot machines, and I find that really boring.
Yeah, me too.
But he can do it like all day long and not really spend very much money. But like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like I can also sit around with a remote control and flip channels too. Like
so like my parents have a system where my mom stands behind my stepfather, and any money he makes, she takes. So he can't re-spend that. He can only use the money that he came with. Do you have a system for a casino or something like that where you're like, I just want to make sure I don't spend too much money?
Yeah, and I mean, I've only done it myself a handful of times, but yeah, I would bring in a certain dollar amount, and I never made enough where I
you were in danger of going into debt and losing your house.
No, well, or just like I'd say I'm gonna spend like $50 this or $100 this trip, whatever it is. I don't know if I ever spent that much, but like I'd go maybe 5 or 10. I'd make 5 or 10 over that, and then that I'd go all the way down and leave with maybe $10. But that's
cool.
The best I ever did. So
cool.
Yeah. Anyway, what is your next topic, sir?
My next topic is, what do I want to do?
It's Indecisive Topic Night on Geekvolution After Dark.
So I'll just tell a quick story. Last night at work, we play we play music, and we thought it'd be funny to play the Monster Mash on loop because we tried we tried like a music station like Pandora or something where it was like Halloween music, and it sucked.
Yeah.
Because there's like 6 Halloween songs, and most of those come from The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
So it was like Monster Mash, Purple People Eater, and then a bunch of Night Before Christmas songs, and then songs that are kind of creepy sounding, like that one Duran Duran song. I think it's Duran Duran. The Sweet Dreams.
That's not Duran Duran, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not Duran Duran.
Rhythmics.
Yes.
I think. Anyway.
But like, I was like, this isn't Halloween music. Like, it's kind of eerie.
I have the same thing where I go to the 80s and I think freaking everything is Duran Duran. I do the same thing. Anyway.
But, so we were like, you're like, well, like, the Monster Mash is kind of the most Halloween-y song. Like, wouldn't it be funny if we played the Monster Mash on loop? And a coworker of mine was tallying it. Every time the song started, they tallied it on their hand. And we got to 81. One of my coworkers kind of broke because that was the thing, was you can change at any point, but you have to admit you broke.
That's great.
And
so no one was pretending like this was not irritating.
I actually didn't have that much trouble with it.
Really?
No, but
that's surprising.
But the one thing
because we talked about this with movies, where it's like, how many is there anything you could think of that you could possibly watch that many times in a row? And music, I kind of tend to think is about the same way.
I don't know. I just kind of like tuned it out and just like, I don't know. It was actually really easy for me.
Oh wow.
But which I wouldn't think it would, because there's songs that we've played where like because Pandora is kind of terrible. And so like we've gotten to points where like I'm like, I've heard this song 4 times today. Like, skip this song.
Yeah.
I didn't have that. Like, maybe it's because I had my game face on, right? Like, I went into it knowing I'm just going to hear this one song over and over and over again.
Competitive. We're like, this is a game, and
I also really liked that song.
I'm gonna win. Yeah, you wouldn't have been able to do it with like Purple Eater or.
We joked about doing it with Spooky Scary Skeletons. I don't know if I could have done that one, but I like Monster Mash. No, what happened was, and we were a little irritated by the end of the night. There was a little bit high tensions, but I'm not sure if there were actually high tensions or if, at least from the one guy who not from the one guy who broke, but from CJ and I. I don't know if it was actually us being irritated or if we were playing it being irritated because we were supposed to. Like, I'm not sure exactly what level it was on.
That's funny.
But no, we kept getting it from customers.
Oh, I'm sure.
Everyone had the exact same line though, which was interesting. Which is, the first time I thought it was cute and throwbacky, and then by the 4th time I was done, people kept coming in. I don't know why, or kept not leaving. Like, you'd think that would make people leave, and like we get drunk. Nobody seemed to really mind that much. But yeah, we made it to 81 times.
See what you should.
For 4.5 hours, we listened to the Monster Mash.
Which sadly is still only 2/3 the length of the first Mega Show.
Could you imagine doing Mega Show with Monster Mash playing the entire time?
You just have headphones the whole time, you don't even tell anybody? Why are they getting progressively more irritated the rest of the Monster Mash? My line would have been like, we kind of didn't think, we kind of thought you people would have better things to do and you wouldn't be in our store for any longer than 2.5 minutes. Like, you shouldn't have even known that it went on again. No, I can't spend fewer than 15 or 20 minutes in that store most of the time when I go. That's true. A lot to look at. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I can because I work there all the time, but no, if I didn't work there, I would not be able to get out of there under like a half hour, I don't think.
Well, you did the first time you went.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. And the times my families come, they're there for a long time.
Yeah.
And they go to Half Price Books, and they're there for a long time.
Yeah, but they love stores, man.
That's true.
They're like that everywhere you take them.
That's true. That's true. I mean, there's a lot of them. They're all looking at different things.
No, your family's like my dad's side of the family, man. Like they go to Target. It's a museum.
I only have that with bookstores. That's my only big one.
I have that with flea markets.
Like if we go to Half Price Books, like, it's hard for me to get out there under for a half hour to an hour.
Yeah, you're not even like that so much with comic shops. I think just because you're such a trade buyer that you'll scan a wall and be like, okay, I need this, this, and this, and they're either cheap enough for me to buy or not, and then you're kind of done.
Yeah.
Like, you don't.
No, at a discount bookstore, I'm like, and this is $2, and this is $2, and this is $5 for this $30 book. I'll pay that. Like, it's like that.
Well, and I imagine you're sometimes probably like this at like DVD stores too, because I mean,
less so working in the DVD store. Because I have access to every...
maybe.
Yeah. Well, but that was much more... There's a hidden gem here I'm not finding.
You're right, and you're not...
which is less so with the bookstore.
Kind of the equivalent of looking through long boxes.
Yeah.
Which you don't really do because you don't buy singles.
Yeah. Yep.
That's hilarious. You guys will never do that again.
No. We were joking about possibly doing it again, and we were like, well, maybe next. Like, we need a year to...
I mean, I would think maybe you would be like, oh, let's try this with a different song, but like, I don't know if you'd ever want to do that again.
Yeah, no. The only other thing we do is the past couple weekends we decided Sundays are Michael Bolton Sundays.
That's hilarious.
Which is good for most of the day, and then because Pandora's weird, it starts throwing in like NSYNC and stuff, and I'm like, well, this isn't really what I signed on for.
You want to go on?
No, that's it.
Eric, I read a weird article the other day about Amazon and Alexa.
Yeah.
Apparently,
are they recording everything we say?
Well, yeah, that apparently is true. But I was going to ask you what you thought of this, because I'm kind of on the fence about it. I can see both sides to this. Apparently, there are a lot of really lonely people with no social lives, and this won't surprise you probably.
Not Alexa.
That are using Alexa for like a personal sounding board.
Sorry, it looks like I didn't hear you correctly. Please try again.
I was talking about how people keep using you as a sounding board, and one of the things the echoes and the echo dots. One of the things that Amazon reportedly has been because they apparently I don't know if this is because they are keeping track of a bunch of like actually what people are saying, or if it's just they did like a sample testing thing. I imagine it's that, but one of the questions that comes up most often, or one of the things that people say to Alexa most often, is like, I'm thinking about committing suicide and things like that. And so Alexa, no, not this time. Amazon is starting to work on programming the echoes and the echo dots to deal with sensitive questions like depression and suicide and things like that. And I don't know how I feel about it, because if people are asking it that, like, you have to have some kind of a response, but you don't want it to work like as as like a therapist or something.
Well, but
right now the main thing it does is it gives you the number for the prevention hotline.
Well, and I was going to say, I've never called a prevention hotline, so I have no first-hand experience, but the impression I have gotten from people, and from peripheral knowledge about that, is that they are reading from a script. There are things you say to people. And if they're just punching in and if all you need is someone to tell you it's going to be okay, and it's going to get better. The
soothing voice you hear all the time that comforts you.
Why not?
Maybe that's not a
why
problem.
not load that in there?
Yeah.
No, I think that's fine.
I guess I'm just disturbed by a couple things. I'm disturbed by the idea that there are people that think about it too much like the artificial intelligence in Her, which is actually a real artificial intelligence. We're going that way, where because it has this personable sounding voice, there are people that are thinking about it too much like a person, and it's just kind of sad and depressing that there are people that are that lonely.
But that's always existed.
No, absolutely, that's true.
And we've covered that in science fiction a lot, where people project sentience on the technology that doesn't have it.
Yeah, and you're not going to be able to prevent that. So
why not lean into that a little bit and
as opposed to just having it say, "Sorry, I don't know what to do about that."
Yeah. I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think ethically there's anything wrong with that.
It's just depending on what's programmed in. But what they're doing so far sounds really above board and ethical, as you said. But I think what bothers me more is the idea that people, because I think this plays into this a little bit, the idea that people think that if the internet says it's true, and that whenever you get an answer from the Echo, that's like God told it to you. Like, I think that's in there. I think like that. That kind of freaks me out.
Maybe,
but
I think
anything you can think of that you want information about, you'll ask that before you'll go to like a real person, and I don't know.
But I think you're well, there's two things there. One is I think you're kind of combining two different kinds of things, because I don't think sad, lonely, depressed people are necessarily the people that are going to. I mean, those might be people that believe everything that they find.
Well, it's not just about believing what they find. It's about validation. It's about like.
But I don't think
confirmation.
But
some of it's not just about finding information, right? Some of it's like I'm looking for someone to validate this thing I want to do.
But I think that's a really extreme personality. Now, I'm not saying that people aren't going to use it and get information and incorrect information and take it as gospel. But I do think that those are just less educated normal people as opposed to the specific cases of very sad, depressed people. So I think that's kind of two different things.
Sure, but if it becomes normalized and we raise our kids on it.
That's true. That's true.
That's a question.
But in some ways, this is going to sound terrible, but in some ways it's better if the information is in fact correct. Now, the danger becomes if it starts giving information that is not correct and is what they want you to think.
Yeah.
But
well, that's true too.
But
sure. But some of it's not information. Some of it is advice. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, and that's not okay.
That's not okay.
I thought you were just talking about like simply like what year did Batman 1989 come out?
Sure.
And it's like, well, 1989. But if for my entire life you told me 86, like I'd rather get the accurate information.
No, that's true.
Than,
sure.
But if you're talking about advice, it has no business giving that.
Yeah. I'm a little bit concerned.
The suicide thing is a special case. Because those people probably really do need that.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. But if it's like I don't want it to be able to be like, what color of shirt should I wear today? And it has an opinion. It shouldn't have opinions.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think so either. Because it'll have like programmed in opinions when you ask it what it likes, which is just funny.
Yeah.
And it can be kind of fun. But again,
it seems to be random because you can ask it the same question like 3 times, get 3 different answers.
Sometimes you'll get different answers.
It's got a couple of different answers.
And a lot of it's super tongue in cheek, and
yeah.
It's like, what would an AI that can't walk around and eat food?
Is it A that has the thing about 2001 where there is one I can't remember if it's Google or the iPhone one or if it's that one.
Yeah.
But there's one that like when you ask it like what its favorite movie is, it says like 2001 because Hal is really inspiring or something like that.
Yeah, I haven't heard that. I don't know.
That's maybe an iPhone thing. I'm not sure, but I think that's
Usually its favorite superhero is Wonder Woman, but that changes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There was one that was really weird where it was like Jason asked it like who directed Batman, and it went to Batman the movie, and it was like Batman the movie was directed by this person, starred Adam West. But it was something like I want to say it was something even more specific than that. Like I want to say he said Batman '89, and it didn't register '89.
No, it wouldn't.
And it was just like it was directed by.
That's just going to Wikipedia.
Yeah,
That's not especially interesting as far as the actual like Alexa app goes.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. We're getting to the point like it's getting more and more sophisticated where it has a program in it now where you have a sort of legitimate conversation with it. Like it's not just asking about like Wikipedia entries and things. Like it will actually sort of have a conversation with you now. And as that gets more complex and elaborate, I just wonder if there might start to be more ethical conundrums that can come up from that.
Yeah. I know, no, there totally can be, and we've made a million movies about it, but we will not learn.
Yeah.
I don't understand why we're making robotics after Terminator gets made. Like, I just don't understand it.
What's your next topic, Eric?
I'm gonna do the Wicked City.
All right, go ahead.
City. I think
26 minutes.
All right. So, this book is called Wicked City. I've been reading it. I talked about it on the Mega Show.
La 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 la.
It's a really sick and twisted, weird book, and as I described in the video, I would describe this book as pornographic, both in sexual and violent content. What makes it more off-putting than the animated film is that I am reading the words cock, pussy, things like that.
Yeah.
That makes it feel more even than seeing the actions. It makes it feel more pornographic.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not going to read any excerpts from this because that might be going too far. But if you guys want me to read excerpts next time, I totally will.
Can I interrupt you for just a second and say that just because I like that point a lot, there were a couple of instances when I was in high school or college where someone like a professor or someone would read an excerpt from a book that turned my stomach the way a movie never possibly could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's something more about just having the words where, like, if there's a sex scene,
what your imagination does with it.
Yeah, and if there's a sex scene in a movie, even if it's a really graphic one, there's like it doesn't ding any bells. But like when I'm reading a prose book that says like cock in pussy, I'm like, oh, this is adult.
Somehow sounds more explicit.
Yeah,
you say it like that, and it's what your brain does with it, you know, because it's more of an active experience. You know, you're seeing someone else when you're watching a movie. You're seeing someone else interpret that, and when you're reading it, it's just like now you're putting the building blocks together, and somehow that sometimes makes it worse. And I think not just sexually explicit things. I think
violence.
I think violence can be that way. I think certain bodily functions can be that way.
Yeah, yeah. So, I'm going to talk about a couple things that happen in this book. The first one is within the first chapter. So, the main character goes and gets a prostitute, which is interesting because it doesn't seem like that's any kind of social hang-up in Japan. I don't know this, but the way it's presented in this book, it seems like that's just a thing you do and it's normal. But he goes to get a prostitute, and the prostitute he usually gets isn't there. So, there's another one there that he's immediately, like, transfixed by. And is like, yeah, I'll take this one. And then it's implied they have sex, and that's weird because he doesn't describe it at all. They just like go away for a little bit. But then he's like, she asks him if he wants to meet up with her after work. So they go back to her apartment, and there's a very Japanese thing where she wants to bathe him. And so they go into the bathroom, and there's like a bath being drawn, and she has a towel over herself, and then they start having sex. It starts foreplay and then gets like into like real sex, and she's on top of him, and his hands start melting into her. She starts absorbing him, and then she takes off
the Borg cube in Pluto.
Yes, yes, and then she takes off her towel. And the face of the prostitute he did go to see is in her belly screaming in agony, like silently screaming in agony. And I guess this is what she does, is that she absorbs people and they will take hundreds of years to be processed. It's like the Sarlacc pit. But she does it through sex.
Wow, that's horrifying.
And she keeps fucking him while this is happening. Like she keeps thrusting and moving and things.
That's horrifying.
And then he rips her jaw off. And he's like, you didn't know who you were messing with. So that's all messed up and weird. But that's not the weirdest thing I've read in this book yet.
I'm not done with that book.
Nope. But actually, after that, it's a lot of violence, and a lot of the sexual stuff is just there's an old man character who's really pervy. But we don't have sexual stuff again until around... Actually, I know the page exactly because I keep giving it to people and being like, you have to read this. This is the weirdest thing I've ever read. It's page 104 in Wicked City. Okay. You might want to do earmuffs for this one. So, he goes in the back room of... Because they're at a strip club, because there's this pervy old man, and he runs the strip club, and they go there, and they go into the back room, and... Or he goes in the back room because he suspects that there's this girl who's a demon, which is a major problem with the book. They're real all over the place whether they can sense demons or not. Like sometimes, like, yeah, I knew immediately, and sometimes it's like in the first chapter, they have no idea until they do demon stuff. But so he takes this girl into the back, and he knows that she's a demon, and he's like, "You're a demon," and she's like, "Yes, I am," and she's like, "But I want you to come in me."
Riveting dialogue.
And it's translated. And that's also me paraphrasing. But she's like, I want you to come in me. I was like, oh, this is going to a weird place. And then her body starts like warping and moving, and she becomes a giant vagina. And he says, while knowing that, like, this is, I don't want to say weird because the book never mentions how weird any of this stuff is. There's a point later where he will reference back to this and be like, yeah, when the woman turned the giant vagina, like, this happened. I was like, that's way too casual, man. Like, but, like, that's part of it is, like, this is just what he deals with every
Meanwhile,
day.
after this thing happened.
So she turns into this, and, he's like, I knew that she was like a demon, but I couldn't help being, like, on a primal level drawn to it. And so he kind of walks into it, and I'm not going to say what happens, but I'm pretty sure it involves this motion, and then she climaxes and teeth come out, and then she explodes and dies.
This just sounds like somebody's really disturbing dream. Like
It does!
doesn't sound like fiction, right?
And it's weird, because I've read other things by this author, and it's not this... Because, like...
Surreal.
Yeah, well, and I complained about this when I talked about it in the review, where it just feels like action scene, action scene, action scene, action scene. There's no plot. And, like, I've read other things by this author, and it's not this...
All
like,
over the place?
Like, almost like online writing. We're like, and then this happens, and then this happens, and that's what it feels like.
Where you're worried that you'll get to the end and your whole summation will be, so what about that?
Yeah, just really weird things happen. But what's interesting, and it's... Because originally I was going to bring this up and I'd be like, I don't know where I saw this, I don't know what the source cited is, but this is a thing that I've seen before. I think this is printed in the back of all of his books that have been published in America, but I don't know what the source is for this. It says that he is compared in Japan, because he's a best-selling author in Japan, he's compared to Stephen King. He is like their Stephen King.
Interesting. It probably reads better than the original language.
It has to. It has to read, but that's the only thing I can imagine.
Poetic, maybe somehow it makes more sense.
That being said, I'm not hating reading it. I like weird things, and like I get like a weird joy out of being like, this is really weird.
Is there much of an eternal logic to that? Like, can you...
No, it's all over the place. Like I said, like, so there's like the demon thing, but then there's just all of these things, or powers will be introduced where it's like, there's a point where he's like sticks his fingers inside the guy's mouth, and then like the guy dies. And he's like, this is an ability we have, and I'm like, I feel like that could have been helpful earlier in this book. But I don't know.
Especially because it's a cheat to just suddenly decide somebody has a power in order to handle the situation they're in right now. That's the Superman 2 problem.
And that's what it feels like a lot of it. It doesn't feel like there's an internal logic. And again, I've read other books by him, and he's better at that. Like, there's still like the abilities out of nowhere thing, kind of, because he writes mostly supernatural stuff, and you can kind of get away with that. But it feels like constantly, where like we set up rules, and then... Like, he makes this big deal of, like, when you go down to a subway system, you can test a demon like that, because it's a confined area. But I don't understand how that's any more confined than, like, a room.
Yeah.
Maybe it's that there's so many people. I'm not exactly...
Maybe it's like an echo chamber or something?
Yeah.
But that wouldn't be so much about being confined as it is just the way the acoustics work, like...
Yeah, I don't... I'm not loving it. Like, I'm enjoying it for the... This is, like, a really weird, fucked up thing.
Can I see it for a second? Not because I'm actually going to read it, but, well, I think the thing that is weirdest to me about this whole thing
is that it was in the library.
That this was a library.
This was a so I bought this used off Amazon. This is my second copy of this book I've purchased. I owned this book at some point, never read it, and then I rebought it recently.
Did you know it was so weird when you bought it? Like, what possessed you?
Well, I saw the anime, and the anime's really weird.
You told
and I expected it to be like a trashy book. I didn't expect it to have like no plot. And I was expecting it to be a little bit more explicit than the movie. I wasn't expecting my own reaction to, like, oh, they're describing a sex scene.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't expecting where I'm like, oh, that's weird. Because it feels like I'm reading a dirty book. It doesn't feel like I'm reading... It doesn't feel grindhousey. It feels pornographic. Like, it doesn't feel exploitive in the fun way. It feels like I'm reading, like, an adult novel. Which is weird. But so yeah, I got it because it's one of my favorite anime movies. Partially because it is so sleazy and weird, and like I appreciate that kind of thing. I'm hoping it picks up, but yeah, it's weird. And it's not as good as the other books by him I've read.
It sounds like that anime going obviously more reserved with it probably made it more digestible.
I don't know, like the woman, and a lot of stuff's moved around, but like the woman that like absorbs you, that's in the anime. But it's not as weird when I see it as when I read. I don't know what that is, and part of it's because it's first person perspective, which I don't know if it wasn't. I've never read a Japanese book first-person perspective. I never thought about like what that would be like.
Yeah.
I might have altered it to be third person in the translation, but that might not have been fair or accurate.
Yeah.
It's just it feels stilted. Like some of this is certainly translation issues.
Or it just doesn't feel like that person has a distinct enough voice, or
Yeah. And that's always been a thing when I read Japanese texts. Is like there's always a little bit of stiltedness to it. I get the impression that's the way it is with most translated novels, or at least commercially translated novels, as opposed to, you know, like Tolstoy or something like. Where like if it's important, they make sure they get a really accurate translation.
Well, it's got to be really hard just to keep the voice.
Yeah. I think it must be much harder to translate that than manga or anime.
And voice comes from obviously working with the words you have, you know, working with the language.
It's not just dialogue like it would be with manga or anime. So yeah, that's me talking about some weird stuff in Wicked City. I bet you never heard stuff like that. I bet you never thought you'd hear about that on Geekvolution.
Not even in a thing just for the patrons, like still, just words and vivid images. You never think, yeah. This is our whoa, that was wacky move.
Oh, that's how I'm doing.
I'm never doing that again. Never. But you've done that before.
No.
Something like that to sort of denote, wow, wasn't that strange?
No, that's my Kermit the Frog thing. Where I'm
that too. Yeah.
Kermit, I never knew this. Like, it took me a long time to realize I was doing Kermit the Frog, but then like somebody pointed out, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the everything's going wrong, Kermit the Frog. That's not the same as this.
Kid without a bat trying to break a pinata.
All right, so let's get to your depressing topic.
Sure. Well, this might be kind of expected, but I feel the need to talk about this. Here, so I've talked on the channel a couple of times now about Tim, and now I lost one of my best friends last week, and obviously it's still real recent, and it's heavy in my brain, and it's kind of about all I've been thinking about. And but I wanted to talk about how much that has changed the way I look at things and put things into perspective. And it's really easy to go to the obvious cliche places of like, oh wow, I guess we can go in any time and like live each day to its fullest and then all that kind of thing. And what I'm about to say might also be a real obvious standard thing you've heard before, but experiencing it is different than having heard it, and it's difficult to articulate it in a way where other people will be, oh, wow, that's got to be nuts to think about it like that. And I'm sure there are folks watching that have also had this. I don't want to pretend like I'm the only person that's ever lost anyone. But Eric, like, stuff that used to feel like of the utmost importance just doesn't matter anymore. That's kind of one of my big takeaways with this whole thing, is like since last Friday, every day afterwards feels like gravy to me. Like, again, this is going to sound like an obvious thing to say, but like, my buddy Tim Lyons, like, it's not fair that I've got to live past him. Like that ain't right. That's not fair. And it's hard to take things in some ways you take things more seriously, and in some ways you take things less seriously. Like, stuff that I used to get really hung up on, and I don't know if this will last, but the stuff that used to stress me out, and I used to get really hung up on, I'm almost indifferent toward now. It's kind of like nothing, and I don't want to sound like I don't still like the geeky stuff and want to talk about it, and want to analyze fiction and all that kind of stuff, but just like the little things like, when you get shitty comments that kind of bother you, or like your own reputation, or things that I used to maybe concern myself about a little bit too much, suddenly I just don't even care about. Like, it's kind of friends and family, kind of all that matters. Like, ever since last Friday, all I have wanted to do is invite people over. Like, all I've been able to think about is, I haven't spent enough time with this person, and this person. And it makes me just want to almost do nothing but be social, which is the opposite of what I thought would happen. You know what I mean? Like I lose my buddy Tim Lyons, and I'm thinking, like, I'm probably gonna want to just like, go in a hole and not see anybody. It hasn't been like that. It's like all I've wanted to do is call people up and see people, because all I can think about is, they might not be there tomorrow, and I might not be there tomorrow, and I don't know, like, this is all very difficult to articulate, but I don't know. I just it's like looking at things through a totally different lens. And I've just been real contemplative and kind of introspective lately, you know, about just like life and the way I've been living it, you know, where like it doesn't. Again, this is obvious, but like you don't want to waste time. It just feels like, A, there might not be, you may not have as much time as you thought you did, and B, like do you even when somebody like that young that you cared about, you lose that person, like, do you even really deserve to live any longer than you have? Like, it's hard not to, that's dark and dire, but it's really hard not to have that thought, where it's just like every day after that is gravy, like just stuff that used to be such a big deal. I'm like, whatever now. It's weird, like how indifferent it has made me to stuff. So I don't know.
Is it the is it kind of like the life's just a ride kind of a thing? You're like, well, I've only got so much time, I might as well, like, I've made it this far, I might as well just enjoy kind of what I'm doing and not get as bothered by everything, like.
Yeah, and I mean it's, and some of it's kind of contradictory too, where like I have that thought, and then I also have the thought of, you know, accomplish as much as you can, because like it's almost like every day matters, but at the same time it kind of doesn't. You know, all at the same time. It's just the little stuff. It's the piddly stuff. It's the stuff that stresses you out, and you're like, why did I waste so much brain power and so many hours like worrying about what people think of me, and you know that kind of thing. It's
amazing that you're having conflicting feelings about such a small issue as life and death. You're having complex feelings about it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but I just kind of wanted to get that up my chest.
No, absolutely.
I don't know. It's been a weird couple weeks.
I've been here.
Yeah. So I just, you know, but it's weird starting the mega show right as this is going on, because like I'm kind of thinking about, you know, the universe differently. But anyway, we have 8 minutes left.
Let's see what else I got.
Maybe another topic or two. What do you have, sir?
Let me see. I have to enter my password into my phone. Okay, this should be relatively short, because I think I know the answer to this. This will also kind of tie back to the Mega Show slightly.
Yeah, sure.
So I talked about Gundam Wing on the Mega Show.
Yep.
And that it's a thing I really liked as a kid. And I know a lot of people that really liked it as a kid. It sucks. It doesn't hold up. But I still,
no, I've never watched that show, Eric.
But I still love it.
Yeah.
Is there a? Because I think the answer is no. Is there a place for things that don't actually hold up, that aren't good? Like I can never show anyone Gundam Wing. One, because there's.
Yeah, there's a place for you personally.
That's what I'm saying. But like,
there's nothing wrong with enjoying.
But like, I realize
still.
that like, I have this really specific enjoyment of this thing.
Yeah.
I can never share that with anyone, because they would have to have my childhood.
Yeah, that's kind of what sucks about it.
And is there, because I'm also...
You're enjoying that on an island. And obviously there's always that risk that you'll go back to it and you too will be like, I don't know what I was thinking, this doesn't hold up at all.
Well, but
it's
like,
weird the things, and I almost put that on my list actually, it's weird the things that we have that with and that we don't, where like, you go back to something that you love so much that you can't be objective about it, and you still feel the way you did about it, and then you go back to other things, and I think most of us had this with like 87 Ninja Turtles, and you're like, I just can't watch this anymore.
Yeah.
And it's weird the things that it happens with and the things that it doesn't, and I think it's very difficult to understand why with certain things over other things.
Yeah, and what things you're willing to forgive and what things you aren't.
Yeah.
But because it's not like I'm going back and I'm looking at this and being like, nope, it's still as good as I remember it when I was a kid. It's not. Like, I'm now enjoying it ironically, but I don't even know that. Like, I could never impart to you how I feel about that show.
Well, we've talked a lot. We cannot do this with Power Rangers, with anybody that grew up with it.
But Power Rangers...
I even have a hard time with it with 60s Batman with people.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Power Rangers at least is still going on, and 60s Batman is kind of, you know, what it is. And, like, if people get it, they get it, and, like, that's good. And Power Rangers is... I don't know, like, there's...
there's some kind of a charm there. Like, you can still...
But will
do you
these...
think you can still sort of articulate what it is about that? Because it sounds like with Gundam, you just couldn't even begin to explain.
No, and there are other series... There's another series that's essentially a remake of this, but does it better. And there's lots of Gundam shows that are really good.
So why not just give that to people?
Yeah, but then, does it get lost? Like, this is my grander question, is... moving forward into the future, do the things that have nostalgic value for people, will those just be lost? Like, is it really just the cream of the crop rises? And because you already see younger people, I'm going to stick with Gundam just because that's what's in my head, but you already see younger people coming into the franchise and looking real down on that, because that's that crappy show that they like in the 90s for some reason. But like, I'm educated, and I don't have those rose-tinted glasses. I see that this is bad.
Yeah. No, I think
does it just
kind of get lost.
Do you think 89 will disappear? Once everyone's kind of moved on from like that generation that grew up with it, like, so probably the next generation, like the generation that legitimately grew up with the Dark Knight.
I think with each of these things, you have to break them down and say what is the inherent merit, and see if you think that will somehow or rather last, because 89 for most people hasn't aged well, so it's possible, but it also has a really distinct aesthetic that no other Batman thing has, and I don't know that Gundam is like that.
Well, except for Gotham.
right, but that's also throwback to that, and that's disposable and will not last.
Mm-hmm.
As much as you and I are enjoying it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I think it's interesting that there are things... Like, it's hard to say. It's that nostalgia mixing with other things. Where, like, because you can, every time you watch 89, you find more things wrong with it. But in a way, that's part of become what you enjoy about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Is making fun of those dumb things.
And being surprised by just how many accidental layers there are in it. I don't mean thematically or story-wise or anything, but just, oh yeah, and then, like the last several years, I keep having totally different viewing experiences with that movie, because it was perfect at one time in my mind, and now it's nowhere near it. It's not that at all. It's hardly a story. Well, and so yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that ends up if that holds up. I think it will have the significance of, because I don't know anything about Gundam, but with 89, it will be remembered historically because of what it did to the industry. Gundam doesn't necessarily have that. I mean,
Gundam is weird because it's important to us because it's the first one we get.
Right.
But it was a splash in the bucket in Japan.
Right. And so it wasn't really innovating or
no,
starting
it's
anything.
important to us, but I don't know how important it actually is moving forward, because most people that are anime fans look at Japan,
and
not
they
us.
know, yeah.
They don't think about, well, this is when we finally got it.
Whereas with Batman, 89 is legitimately, without question, the first serious on-screen Batman thing we
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know. I just think it's interesting. Like, I've become really specifically
that holds up to some degree.
Well, I mean, Gundam Wing does too. Gundam Wing has some really cool robots.
My point is, some people holds up in the sense that I do think in 50 years people will continue to go back and look at that, at least as an interesting historical something.
I've become really fascinated recently reading through the Gundam Wing manga of just like, I have all of these feelings that I can never give to anyone. No one will ever experience this the way that I experience this.
And obviously,
which is
lots of stuff.
Or no one that didn't experience it. Because I've talked to people about things where like they also had, you know, I have a similar thing with Sailor Moon. I imagine if I go back to Sailor Moon, specifically the original American dub that I love. I'm sure it doesn't hold up, but that's part of why the little bits I've gone back to, I can never impart that experience on them.
Yeah, I've tried in rewinds to articulate as best I can the precise feeling I had the first time I saw something, and that's the best you can do. I mean, until we can link minds up and telepathically transmit information.
Like in Dream Lecture Sheep, the empathic box.
Yeah, until we can do something like that.
But no matter how much I explain it or you explain it, it's never going to change their viewing experience.
Right. And it's never going to give them that precise feeling.
And it's also not a historical perspective thing, because there's things that I can watch and be in awe of that I wasn't there for because I understand it's important.
And it's interesting to try to dissect the reasons that we...
It's the things that aren't very good that I'm concerned about.
Yeah, it's interesting to dissect the reasons that we long to have that. And I think it's because, why we must share it with someone. Why we really wish that a person we care about could experience it precisely the way we did. And I think a lot of it is that informed us. Some of those things were so profound in shaping who we are, and you know our experiences define us. That a person that we know, we either would, maybe it's both of these things. We either would love for it to inform that person moving forward because we think that they might be a better person for it, or that they might relate to us more.
Or we can at least have fun with it, or something like that. Like you could also enjoy this with.
But what I was going to say is, also, they would understand us more.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I think that's a lot of it. I think if people fully understood, for instance, the experience I had the first time I read Death of Superman, they would understand me better.
Mm.
They would know more of why I am the way I am.
Mm. Yeah.
And these are unarticulatable things.
Do you have a 30-second topic?
No, but we'll do one that is pretty fast.
Okay.
Since this would be the end of a fourth round or whatever. Eric, I'm gonna.
I'm sorry, I wasted all the time on Wicked City.
No, that's okay. So I'm gonna we're gonna play a little game. I'm gonna have you fill in some categories. I want you to give me your and I'll give you each of the positions. I want you to give me real quick rapid fire your dream starship crew made of other fictional characters that are not in Star Trek. So fictional characters from anything you like, from anything at all. Put together a 6-man bridge crew.
Okay.
Beginning with the captain.
Okay. Captain would be. I'm trying to think of someone that'd be a good captain.
Sure.
That's also not a captain in something else.
Yeah.
'Cause that's what my mind immediately jumps to. Is other captains.
Something. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Commissioner Gordon
Okay, that's good.
as
That's good.
as a captain.
We elected him president 4 years
Yeah,
ago,
yeah.
so yeah, no, that's pretty good. Okay, who would be, and I will add this stipulation, each of these needs to be something from a different property.
I can't do like Commissioner Gordon, Alfred, Robin,
Right.
Batman.
Yeah, but
Sure.
yeah, put them all from different, just to mix it
Yeah.
up. Like mediums, it doesn't matter.
Right,
it could all be
right.
from movies
Yeah.
or from TV shows or whatever. Okay, so your captain is Commissioner Gordon. Who is his first officer?
Commissioner Gordon's first officer is going to be. I'll go with post the first Lethal Weapon, Martin Riggs.
That's pretty good. I like that a
When
lot.
he gets over the wanting to die thing, but is still like kind of crazy, post Lethal Weapon, post the first Lethal Weapon, Martin Riggs.
Do you want to give us a specific version of Gordon so we can picture that?
Animated series? No Man's Land. No Man's Land Gordon.
That's great.
Yeah, no, they're a great pair.
Now we got this buddy cop on a starship thing going on. Their security chief.
Security chief is going to be. I'm trying to think of ones that would have any because like my immediate go-to would be like Goku, because he's just like a really good guy, but he's also super strong.
Because a lot of your best security chiefs kind of are also good captains, like their leadership material.
Yeah. Goku's not a good leader.
I mean, all these people would have to be good leaders because with the exception of the first officer, they would have staffs. Of course, the first officer's staff is everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'll go with. There's just so much.
yeah,
It could be anything. I'm trying to think of somebody strong, but also
it's
a
almost
good leader.
This kind of thing is almost harder when you don't narrow it down in any way.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of. I'll do a Hellboy.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah, I'll go with
Okay.
Hellboy.
All right. What about a helmsman? Who is flying your ship?
See, that one's really hard to not just pick helmsmans, or like other people that fly spaceships.
Yeah, maybe
Because you know they're already good at it.
maybe you could come up with like a really good taxi driver, or just someone that drives something.
Yeah, who's someone that's known for like being a really good driver? I'm trying to think of like somebody that's like really good at that. Baby Driver. I'll do Baby Driver.
Yeah, that's good. That sounds hilarious. Who would be your engineer then?
My engineer would be. I had a good tech guy where I was like, oh, that would be a good. I'm just gonna cheat. I'll go with Forge from the X-Men.
That's pretty good. Yeah, that's fun. And finally, your doctor.
Herbert West. Reanimator.
I I could tell that you had that like saved back.
No, that was the first one I thought.
Oh,
of
really?
Was
You'd be like,
when
he's gonna say doctor. What's he? He's gonna say doctor, and I know what I'm gonna say when he says doctor.
I was thinking about trying to make just an entire horrific crew, but I didn't. So I'll just go with Herbert West.
Well, that's a fascinating mix of people.
It's a real solid first like 3 choices.
Yeah, and then after that it gets a little dicey, but
it's real hard when it's just anything.
Anything at all, yeah. It would have been almost easier if I just said like
Marvel Universe,
Marvel,
DC
go there,
Universe,
yeah.
something
Batman
like that.
characters, yeah.
Yeah, Gotham.
But then that can get kind of lame.
We should do that with Gotham.
Where like, you know, the choices get kind of obvious, or, you know, it's kind of fun to mix and match like that.
Yeah.
It'd almost be better if you just had like a stack of like, you know, 30 or 40 cards.
Yeah, pick out of this set.
And then you were like, well, that's a dumb idea. Anyway, that's going to be it for us tonight. Thanks a lot for watching Geekvolution After Dark. We sure appreciate it. We will see you again in 2 weeks with one of these, and we will see you again in probably less than 1 week with another Geekvolution Omnibus and all the other shows broken up from that, depending on how you want to watch it. Coming up soon will be, of course, the Thor Ragnarok spoiler cast. We'll do a how we felt about inside the Omnibus, and then probably about a week later we'll do the spoiler cast, tentatively the Sunday after that.
Hopefully it's going to have Dan!
Yeah, exactly, because we're going to work around Dan's schedule and try really hard to get him there, so tentatively the Sunday after, but he's not sure about that day, so we're not sure yet when that's going to happen, but I just wanted people to know that we are definitely going to do a spoiler cast, apart from the mega show.
I want to start making trailers whenever we're going to have a video that has like Dan and Erasco, or like the people that like aren't there very often.
Make a
It's just
big deal
like,
out of it.
and Dan Torrey.
Yeah, because it sucks that we're not able to have them as as often as we used to.
People have lives and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say shit, and I was like, oh, no, I can't say that.
No,
but
I can't say that. No, you totally
People
can.
have lives and
We just
shit.
haven't been swearing as much on this damn video. And then I also wanted to mention that soon we're going to be bringing Bat Chat back. Dan's News is coming back for that, and I'm very excited.
Another Dan!
We're gonna be shooting some of that tomorrow. So we're gonna get as many.
50% of the people Cap knows are Dan.
It's true, and Danny is the guy making the thumbnails. I mean, it's a lot of Dans right now. It's like They Might Be Giants in the mid-2000s.
It's Dandemonium.
Thanks for watching, folks. I am Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
And we'll see you again next time.